Bloody Night on the Hudson, the chilling tale of a family torn apart and a child left behind. On August 28, 2014, the small, peaceful town of Hudson, Florida, was shaken to its core by a brutal quadruple murder that would leave a lasting mark on the community. Megan Brown, her parents Greg and Margaret, and her new boyfriend, Nick Leonard, were all found dead, their bodies left piled near a remote road. A scene of devastation that left the public and police alike in shock. Quickly, the investigation turned toward Megan's ex-boyfriend, Adam Matos, who had been living with the Brown family in the days leading up to the tragedy. Megan and Adam shared a young son named Tristan, only 4 years old at the time and present in the home when the murders occurred. Just days before, on August 27, Megan had placed a frantic 911 call reporting that Adam had threatened her with a knife during an argument. According to her, the incident occurred after Adam became enraged that she had come home later than usual. Police arrived at the scene but, without sufficient evidence to arrest Adam, ultimately left him there with Megan and her family. This marked a tragic missed opportunity, as the escalating violence between them would soon turn deadly. After the discovery of the bodies, law enforcement launched a statewide manhunt for Adam, fearing for Tristan's safety as well. The next day, Adam and Tristan were located in a motel in Tampa, where he was promptly arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. Meanwhile, Tristan, deeply traumatized by the tragic loss of his family, was placed with relatives in the hope of finding a measure of stability and safety after such unimaginable violence. As the case moved to trial in 2017, the prosecution built a damning case against Adam Matos. They portrayed him as a man consumed by jealousy and anger after Megan began a new relationship with Nick Leonard. They argued that Adam had killed Megan, her family, and her boyfriend in a fit of rage and then coldly attempted to cover his tracks, moving the bodies to conceal them and even attempting to sell the victims' belongings for money. The prosecution presented evidence that painted Adam as methodical and calculated, suggesting he carefully orchestrated his actions to evade capture. In an unexpected turn, however, Adam's defense team argued that the murders were not premeditated acts of violence but rather acts of self-defense. Adam took the stand and gave a chilling account of the events of that fateful night. According to his testimony, Nick Leonard was the initial aggressor, confronting and attacking him, which allegedly forced Adam to act in self-defense. Adam claimed that during this confrontation, he shot Greg Brown, Megan's father, as Greg rushed toward him with a rifle, claiming that Megan herself had urged her father to shoot him. Adam then recounted how he killed Megan, insisting that he believed she was attacking him with a weapon. However, in a tragic twist, he admitted he later realized she had only been holding her cell phone. As for Margaret Brown, Megan's mother, Adam testified that he struck her with a hammer, again alleging he acted out of fear and desperation to protect himself. The defense attempted to portray Adam as a man overwhelmed by fear, caught in a violent whirlwind, and forced to take extreme actions in a situation that spiraled completely out of control. The jury listened to this unexpected account, but after deliberating for less than 3 hours, they ultimately rejected Adam's plea of self-defense, convicting him on all 4 counts of first-degree murder. However, the sentencing phase brought yet another twist. After less than 3 hours of deliberation, they convicted Matos on all 4 murder counts. However, the sentencing phase proved more complex, as the jurors wrestled with whether Matos deserved the death penalty or a life sentence. Ultimately, it was a single holdout juror that prevented the death penalty, with the majority favoring a life sentence instead. The judge ultimately sentenced Matos to life in prison without the possibility of parole, concluding that while he may have been in fear for his life, the overwhelming evidence showed a jealous, violent individual who had callously taken the lives of an entire family. In their victim impact statements, the victims' relatives rejected Matos' claims of self-defense, painting a heartbreaking picture of the profound trauma inflicted on the lone surviving member of the family, Tristan, Megan's young son. The verdict was a relief for the victims' families, who had endured the agony of a lengthy legal process and the added pain of hearing Adam's disturbing account of the events that night. Ultimately, Judge Mary Hansel sentenced Adam Matos to life in prison, a decision that sought to bring closure to the families. Adam expressed remorse during sentencing, yet his claims of self-defense were ultimately dismissed as implausible and self-serving. The court concluded that the murders were an act of pure rage, driven by jealousy and control, leaving 4 people dead and a young boy orphaned. At a press conference, Nick Leonard's family shared memories of a loving, kind-hearted man. Leonard was known as a generous and helpful person in the neighborhood, someone who brought joy to everyone around him. Family spokesperson Michael Shoup spoke of Nick's willingness to help anyone in need, describing him as a loyal friend with a warm, caring spirit. The Leonard family also requested privacy as they prepared to say goodbye to Nicholas, Megan, and her parents in a private memorial service. The heart-wrenching reality of this tragedy is that the true victim of the case may be Tristan, a 4-year-old boy who lost his mother, grandparents, and, effectively, his father in a single night of unimaginable violence. After the trial, Tristan was placed in the care of a loving family member. But the psychological scars left by that night may follow him for the rest of his life. Tristan's aunt, who had legally adopted him after the killings, described the ongoing terror the boy experienced. Haunted by memories of the gruesome scene and the loss of his mother, grandparents, and father figure, she made clear that Tristan's wounds would likely never fully heal. Many believe that, while the court delivered justice, Tristan is the innocent party whose life has been irrevocably altered by the horror of that August night. In the aftermath, questions lingered about what warning signs may have been missed, and whether more could have been done to intervene and prevent this senseless tragedy. Megan's 911 call in the days before the killings highlighted the complex challenges in addressing domestic violence, even when victims reach out for help. Ultimately, the Adam Matos case served as a sobering reminder of the fragility of human life and the capacity for evil that can lurk even in the most seemingly ordinary of circumstances. The ripple effects of this crime would be felt for years to come, as the victims' loved ones struggled to make sense of the unfathomable loss they had endured. For Tristan, the young boy at the heart of this tragedy, the path forward would undoubtedly be filled with immense challenges. Robbed of his family in the most horrific way, he would be forced to forge a new life, surrounded by the haunting specter of violence that had shattered his world. It was a burden no child should ever have to bear. As the town of Hudson and the broader community grappled with the aftermath, the Adam Matos case stood as a sobering testament to the critical need for greater awareness, resources, and intervention when it comes to domestic violence. Only by confronting such tragedies head-on could steps be taken to try to prevent similar catastrophes from unfolding in the future. In the end, this was a story not just of one man's descent into madness, but of the profound human toll exacted when unchecked rage and jealousy are allowed to spiral out of control. It was a cautionary tale with no easy answers, a stark reminder of the fragility of the bonds that hold families and communities together. For those left to pick up the pieces, the pain and trauma of August 28, 2014 would linger on. An open wound that time could only begin to heal, but the memory of Megan, Greg, Margaret, and Nick would endure, their legacies intertwined with the tremendous resilience of young Tristan, a child forced to grow up far too soon in the shadow of such unimaginable loss.